first thing before I start this, for the person that requests this, you might want to look into the numbers 206 and 260, because almost the moment I got ready to start this analysis of her birth natal chart, those numbers came up. And also, when the person first contacted me, we had a situation as well. So, like I said, we're about to learn more. I didn't want to start it this way, but that's the way the universe took it. But when people are trying to get in contact with you, they'll go through many different means. And if they can never get close, if they can get you close to a gifted person, then they'll start to hit that person with a lot of information that person will hopefully convey. And I was doing that. Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I'm Gat, your host. The viewer requested her birth natal chart, so that's what we're going to do. Natal chart analysis. Now, with every person that requests the birth natal chart analysis, they get a free report totally on astrology, the 12 houses, the archangels, some stuff on tarot cards, anything related to astrology, because as above, so below. And people are waking up now for two reasons primarily. There's a 400-year biblical prophecy. A lot of people don't know about it. You can look it up in YouTube, on YouTube search engine. But it started in Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 and 15. It talks about a 400-year prophecy for the real people of God. Everything going on this planet is about those people. Now, if that doesn't sound right to you, then you got to get past the hypocrisy, because you've been told that the Middle East is those people, and they got you believing it. They had you believing it for a long time. So don't think that there's not people on this planet that are significantly the people of God. And you'll see it in number 22, which is a twin flame number, 1111, and you'll see it throughout. People paying attention will probably see it with this reading as well. So because these people have reached their 400-year prophecy, where they go back to being who they always were, the stars of heaven and all that stuff God said to Abraham at Genesis chapter 14. And that's why even in Revelation chapter 12, you're talking about stars coming down and the woman and the 12 stars and all that. You're talking about these people. The Bible calls them the Hebrews. These are the real Hebrews, not what the Bible calls the fake Jews or the synagogue of Satan. That the Bible says that. Not Gary, but the Bible says that. Revelation chapter 2 verse 9, Revelation 3 verse 9. So a lot of people now waking up. Realization is coming back, especially the importance of knowing your star, which this is why it's good she's getting her natal chart done, because when they take you to Matthew chapter 2, they tell you, without the star, there could be no Messiah. The star led the men to the Messiah. The star told them what this person would do, where he would be born, how he would be put to death, and yada, yada, yada. So you definitely have to have your star, know your natal chart. Because people that don't know the Bible but think they do, they'll try to trick you into thinking that astrology is wrong and evil. No, it's not. What's wrong is when you take these things and use it for a purpose other than what God gave you. But it's nothing wrong with using astrology to find out who you are, your purpose in life, because that's how they found the Messiah. And the Bible tells you that the heavens declare the glory of God. There's going to be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Now, if you don't know what these verses are in the Bible, all you got to do is go to a concordance, like a blueletterbible.org, a concordance, and you can type in some of the words I just said, and those verses will come up. So we are restoring what was stolen from us, because this matrix that we're in and this captivity that we're in is over. For all intents and purposes, we are at the state of where Daniel was in the book of Daniel, where he realized that their 70-year punishment, 70-year captivity, and Babylon was over with, and it's time to come out. This is why your Bible is still talking about Babylon in Revelation chapter 17, because the real Bible people, the real people of God, are still in captivity, but they're getting ready to come out. So you're going to see a whole lot of supernatural stuff, a whole lot of people getting their gifts back, and the connections. And what you have to do is be willing to do your part, your research, take notes. And a lot of your relatives will be waking up. That's why I said the devil is a liar. So he'll tell you, we had one person, when I was going to Deliverance Temple, we had a woman shocked. She was from the islands, because a lot of people that visited Deliverance Temple was from the islands. And she was shocked and upset because a doctor had told her that her newborn baby was going to be whatever. And we just looked at her like it's just a newborn baby. How can he know that already? It's just a newborn baby. So how are you going to tell this woman that her baby's going to be whatever, never going to do? That's some bull. So we started praying all over that woman. The devil is a liar. So he's going to keep on lying, keep on thinking he can keep you in captivity, but he can't. So when your son or your daughter is gifted, the first thing they're going to tell you, oh, the problem child and blah, blah, blah. But if you read the Gnostics, if you read the book of Matthew in the Gnostics, when the baby Jesus was just a boy, they said the same thing about him. Oh, he's not doing worse than what? He's not doing it the way we'll show him. And he said, how are you going to show me when I'm doing it the correct way and you're doing it the wrong way? And so they would hit him upside his head. And when they would hit Jesus, the young boy Jesus upside the head, he would put him to death. And then the people would have to beg him to resurrect the person back, and he would. So it's a lot of stuff we've been lied about, a lot of stuff they don't want us to know, but those days are over with. So you just have to want to be one of these people that are waking up, or you can keep on staying asleep. But again, as far as God is concerned, the prophecies are it's time to wake up. So when you don't wake up, you miss out. And you miss out on the opportunity that God is extending for these people that are waking up. Because you're about to see a brand new world. So now having said that, even if you look at this chart, very unique, isn't it? For people that really watch this channel, you can tell that's a very unique looking chart. Almost like somebody perfectly arranged it. Oh, I'm going to put the asteroids over here, and then I'm going to put these planets over here, and certain planets right here in the middle there, so we can already see. We can already see. So it's going to be a lot to be learned. Now, whenever we get to anything that has to do with Scorpio or the 8th house, on your free report, it has all the houses because there's so much in your 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by planet Pluto. And just so everybody knows, planet Pluto is about to go retrograde. And I was told it's going to be retrograde in the 6th house. Now, the 6th house is ruled by Virgo. And as you see, her planet Pluto is in Virgo. And you also see that cross in the midst of her natal chart. Basically, Leo and Aquarius, maybe a little bit of Pisces, and that's the pyramid going into Taurus. And then you have that was the horizontal cross, the horizontal aspect, and then the vertical aspect is Taurus and Scorpio. So that's quite interesting, and we'll be getting more into it. But again, good to know the 8th house. So I can't read all of it because there's a lot in the 8th house. But you do want to know your 8th house and read your 8th house. It's on the free report because we'll be covering what's on your chart. But there's so much more that you have to be aware of when you're dealing with the 8th house and anything that has to do with Scorpio or Pluto. The first house is Leo because you have your east point there. That's your east point where the sun was going over the ecliptic when you were born. It was east point. And right away, 13 degrees, right away. Now, this is the important part. Revelation chapter 9 tells you about the bottomless pit. If you notice, we're talking about the authorized King James Bible, 1611 AD, because that's around the time right before we officially were taken into slavery at 1619 AD, and God gave the 400-year prophecy. Now, as Louis J. Armstrong, who is out here on YouTube, tells you, he's 100% correct. That Bible is the Bible for these people that are waking up. In fact, I was specifically told to study and learn that Bible, which I did. Now, in your Bible, that authorized King James Bible, it's always talking about a well or the bottomless pit or the hollow. If you looked it up right now, Hollow is in your Bible. But that's also a play on words for Halloww. Now, do you even know what hollow is? What do you celebrate every year? Halloween. And what is Halloween about? These people coming out of the underworld that are down there. And that's the same way they show you in the Bible about Lazarus at John chapter 11. He's put in the grave, but then he's told to come back out by Messiah. And then the Messiah also was put in the grave and came back out. So these people that are in a dead-like state right now are about to wake up. It's the same thing over and over again, but you've been lied to and manipulated. And that's why all these different religions and all these different Bibles, it's just a ploy to keep you blinded. Because the more you start to wake up and confess who you are, they won't be able to handle you. Especially with the 400-year prophecy being over, basically. Just about over in 2019. And this is why Daniel began to stand up and say, hey, look, our time is up. And he started praying. And the more he prayed, guess who showed up? The angel, who is the angel of God's people, which is Gabriel. And Louis J. Armstrong calls him Thoth. But Gabriel has many names. And the reason why Gabriel worked with the Arabs was because Abraham had 2 sons. Ishmael is really the oldest, or the firstborn. Really, the promises should have came to Ishmael. But God said, no, I'm not going to give the promises to Ishmael. I'm going to give them to, you had Abraham, you had Isaac, and Jacob. So Isaac and then Jacob got the promise. And Ishmael came, I believe Ishmael was Isaac's son. Ishmael was Abraham's son, but he was Isaac's brother. But he didn't get the promise, even though he was the firstborn. But God promised those people would be abundant in riches, and they are. The wealth of Arabia and the Arabians is unbelievable. Unbelievable. But they wouldn't have the promises that these seed of Jacob would have. And Jacob became Israel, the real Israel, not the Israel they're selling you in this matrix, but the real Israel. And if you have any problems with that, it's Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, Revelation 3, verse 9. So the Bible's always talking about a sea or a well or a darkness and on and on and on, but it's the same location, believe it or not. And that's actually another way of describing your creator, who is the source or the womb of everything. So in Revelation chapter 9, they talk about that bottomless pit. But notice when they talk about that bottomless pit, that's the 8th house of the zodiac. And how do you know that? Because this is how all these people come and go. And even myastrologybook.com tells you that planet Pluto is the planet of the black people. That's what myastrologybook.com tells you. Now, planet Pluto rules Scorpio, but planet Pluto is the god of the underworld. And this is where these people come from. It's always been that way. That's why your Bible's always talking about wells and seas and the womb and all that over and over again. The darkness and the night and the evening. And something about these people. Black smoke. Oh, at the bottomless pit, an angel came down. That's Gabriel. And opened up, and then the black smoke. And Gabriel is the same angel that came down and kicked that rock off of Messiah. He's always been the angel of God's people. He has many names. Thoth is one of them. So this is nothing new. Nothing new. So that's why I say you got to know who you are. You got to know who your offspring is. And you got to know what time we're in. Because if not, they're going to do the same thing they've been doing to the melanated man and oftentimes the woman for hundreds and hundreds of years. We're always going to be guilty, no matter what. Take a case like Trayvon Martin. All he was doing was going to get some gum or something, a soda. But he was brutally murdered, and his murderer is still walking around free. So it's nothing new to have them tell you your kid is this is a lie they've been putting on. They know who you are. They know the history books. I proved that. On my other channel, I went into the history books and proved that. Did a video on it. The paperwork and everything. They know who you are. That's why now all of a sudden they're talking about reparation. Reparation. Why now? We've been here for hundreds of years. Why now you were talking about it? Because they know what's about to happen. And part of that prophecy was, he said, after the 400 years, I'm going to pull you out, deliver you, and I'm going to judge the nation who put you into captivity. Now, if you go to Matthew chapter 25, when Jesus said, because you did this to my brothers, I'm going to do that to you. What brothers do you think he was talking about? He's a Hebrew. He's of the 12 tribes. Look it up. I'm not a black Hebrew Israelite. I'm a historian. I know what the heck I'm talking about. Look it up. Because either way, it's going to happen regardless. People, oh, I don't know. You sound like you're preaching. No, I'm not preaching nothing. I'm giving you history. And I'm about to show it to you in the natal chart. It's already starting off with 22. It's already starting off with 22. So how could I possibly make it up? It starts off with 13, which is the bottomless pit or the underworld. That's the death card on the chariot. The number 13 death card is Scorpio energy. That's Scorpio ruled by planet Pluto. That's the 8th house of the zodiac or the underworld. You're talking about God's people. Number 22 is a number for God's people. Like if you go to some of those astrological websites, they tell you 22 is a mal number. It's a cursed number. Well, why is it? Why is 22 a cursed number? Because that's the number that represents God's people. So of course your son is going to be gifted. And they're going to try to make you not make him realize who his identity is and tell you all kind of crazy stuff. These people have been lying for hundreds and hundreds of years. But we are entering a time when a lie can no longer be held and a lie is over with. And the more you confess who you really are, the more power you're going to have from God, from the universe. All right. So your ascendant is where the sun was going over the horizon when you were born. Leo. So your first house is ruled by Aries, a fire sign. Leo is also a fire sign. So you have a lot of fire there, but you also have the moon. So you have the divine masculine, which is fire or the sun, but you also have the divine feminine, which is the moon. And so your ascendant and your moon sign. So your ascendant is your rising sign and your moon sign. Now your first house is your personality. And usually your ascendant is in your first house, which it is. But what you have to understand, it's not always the same thing, because sometimes your ascendant might be in the 12th house. But your first house really is how other people see you, or your how they perceive your personality. Now, because the ascendant is usually in the first house, people view your ascendant as what defines your personality and stuff like that. But it's actually your first house, how people see you and your personality. And your ascendant basically connects you back to astrology. It may have some references to your personality, but not as much as your first house would. But in your case, they're both in the same house, so it just gets accepted as the same. Now, the number 23 can be somewhat chaotic. Somewhat chaotic. The number 25 on your Mars can have to do with intensity, but number 25 means law. But Mars is going to be in intensity, and even possibly worse than that. Now, Mars in the first house, because Mars rules Aries. Mars used to rule Scorpio. So this is a very intense first house, very bold. And intense. But you just have to be careful of flying off the handle. And sometimes even if a person is right, it may be unwise for them to get really, really highly upset. Because that, you're affecting yourself. It's like when somebody gets really upset and they lose whatever. And those people they got upset about will still be working. They'll still be, going on to bother somebody else. And so you just got to be very careful. So now the first thing we're going to look at is the moon conjunct Mars. And then we're going to tie that in with Leo. All right. The moon usually deals with the feminine and the internal you, and it can also deal with secrets. Now, the moon card, the moon tarot card, can also deal with doubt or when people see things but it's fuzzy. Like they may be perceiving reality in a unrealistic way. So a person like that has to be very careful that they don't be in some world that's not really real. So moon conjunct Mars is going to be an emotionally passionate person. So you got Leo. Leo is one of the most I guess you could say romantic. You may be able to say passionate as well too. So this person will have a zest for life, and you have infectious energy that can arouse the passion of others. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and they say it's healthier for you to show how you feel. Now, if you don't let your strong emotions out, and they're saying that this Mars conjunct Moon, these people have a reputation for giving emotional rashness and hot temper. So that's the point. We have to be very careful because we could lose it all when we let our temper get the best of us. So you're seeing that already with Lion. So this is a person that ain't gonna be afraid to go. But that's the danger, because you gotta have forethought. Gotta say, okay, I know I'm mad, and I know these people really deserve it. But what's gonna happen if I carry it out? And unfortunately, we just live in a world where people can do you dirty, but you can't respond. Like you can't be angry. You can't be upset, because the moment you get angry and upset, they totally cancel out your concerns. We definitely don't play fair out here on this planet. So somebody might do you dirty or do you bad, but you're gonna have to try to compete with these people. But you gotta keep your cool and all that. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff don't move if people don't see your temper, if they don't see and hear your anguish. But a lot of people will use that. Oh no, this person, we didn't want to talk to them because they were highly upset, and blah blah blah. So they act like that's the reason. Oh, we didn't help her because she seemed to be unstable. But she's been victimized one way or another, and she has a right to be upset. That doesn't give you a right not to do your job. And then let's see the shoe on the other foot, where a person does something, and then right away, because of who the person is or what their ethnic background is, right away they're all over top of that person. One threatening to lock them up, all kind of crazy stuff. But yet when that same person says, I've been victimized, now all of a sudden they find the reasons why they can't help you or support you or this and that. So things like this go on every day. Now, why am I saying that? So that'll make a person think twice. Hopefully it'll make a person think twice before they just get mad and dive into a situation. Because that's really what the enemy wants you to do. Because then he can lock you up and all kind of crazy stuff. So this person is a sexy lover and they're a fierce fighter. But you have to have a constructive outlet for your passions. If you don't get a constructive outlet for your passions, the hot Mars energy will turn inward and become destructive. Dramatic emotional displays, he said, are a good thing sometimes. But again, even then, you just got to be careful. Where are you being dramatical? Where are you being emotional and stuff like that? You got to be very, very careful. So this person might feel strong, sexy, brave. They have quick instincts. They have a fighting spirit. And they'll definitely defend their home and family. So they say once this person even begins to get a little bit agitated, they have to go away, do something to calm down. Because they say it's just going to like a boiling pot. Once they start to get a little that agitated, and then they don't, they start to focus on, and they get madder and madder, and they would like literally blow up like a boiling pot. And you might need reminders around you, because we all make that mistake. Sometimes freedom can make you very delusional because you're free and you forget. So what happens is something happens and you begin to put yourself in a situation where you're no longer free. And then once that freedom gets taken, you're saying to yourself, how could that have happened? Okay, I got a friend of mine that just passed the bar for a lawyer. So congratulations to her. Give me a second. All right. So you're 25 degrees at your Mars. Be careful because that's the law. That's the law. So the implication is because of your temper, you may find yourself in problems with the law. Now, right away, you go to your next house and you see number 13 again. See, 13 is the death card. That's Scorpio energy. Now, the death card basically really just means the end of something, or a time to maybe reconsider doing things a different way. Now, just so you know, planet Mars is in your second house. Your second house is about your money. It's ruled by planet Taurus. It's about your money, possessions, and your value systems. Your first house is ruled by planet Aries. And again, that's just your personality, how people see. It's the way you apparently show yourself when you're out in public. So now we're going into your money. But when you have Virgo in the second house, well, let's talk about that for a moment. All right, now I was talking about that number 206 as well as 260, but that's where we at right now because you're at the second house ruled by Taurus, but Virgo is in that house and Virgo rules the sixth house. So there's your 2-6, but also in numerology on a transit chart, space chart, or natal chart, 26 is the voice of God, the word of God, the voice of God. Now, what does that mean? It could be somebody giving you information from God, rather just giving you Bible scriptures, but it can also mean a literal message from God. So if you ever see number 26 on your chart, you gotta look at it and see what's going on there. All right, give me one moment. All right. Right now in the universe, Pluto is having a unique relationship with Capricorn as well as Virgo. Virgo ruling the sixth house. Now, your Pluto is at 15 degrees, and that is the devil card. And that's the devil card is two people that have become bound by this physical world. And that's Capricorn energy. So wherever your Capricorn is, it's going to be somewhat connected to Pluto in your second house. And also Capricorn rules your 10th house of career and reputation. And that's ruled by Saturn. That's ruled by planet Saturn. But both Pluto and Saturn tend to teach lessons. Where you see Saturn on your chart is probably talking about your past life karma. Your Venus at 27 degrees. 27 degrees is usually a person who is able to talk to other people, sort of like in a capacity of a diplomat. And again, this is the second house of finances, financial possessions in your value system, but it's in the home. Virgo rules the sixth house of the home. But Virgo also rules the sixth house. It's about health, service, small children, small animals, co-workers, subordinates. And Virgo can be very detail oriented. So all this is in your second house of your value system, your money, and your possessions. So let's look at Pluto conjunct Venus. Venus conjunct Pluto is intense love nature. But whatever I say, you have to realize that also Uranus is there, so we also have to do that. So when Venus conjuncts Pluto, how you need to love and be loved manifest in either positive or negative ways. But they say the more you love yourself, the better off you'll be with loving another person. Or the better off you'll be in a love relationship with another person. But this person views relationships as a serious matter. And you see Capricorn there because Capricorn can be kind of serious too. And that Capricorn is at that 15 degrees. So this person has a powerful level of attraction, both emotional and sexual. But they say instant attraction, karmic relationships, and falling head over heels can apply to you or your lovers. It does not take long for you to fall deeply in love and form a powerful union. But this time we're going to do the eighth house because you have to really understand that. You got to understand what's going on with Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. So let's go ahead and do that eighth house so that we can get a good perspective. And remember, it's ironically, this is in the money house, but it's also going to affect the home. It affects the sixth house as well. The eighth house concerns reincarnation, rebirth, twin flames, sexuality, intimacy, deeply committed relationships, inheritance, passions, crisis, transformation, death, rebirth, wills, inheritances, change of self, change of ways, financial investments, the IRS, debt, the occult, psychic abilities, magic, metaphysics, jointly held things, taxes, debt, inheritance, shadows of the psyche, emotional intensity, obsession, stalking, codependencies, transformations, intuition, joint finances, death, healing, and esoteric information. The eighth house is one of hidden mysteries, so it's a lot of secrets when you're dealing with Scorpio and or Pluto. And one of the greatest mysteries in the eighth house or in Scorpio is the final transformation, which is death. Because if you notice, the Egyptians prepared for death, and it just seemed like they had a different viewpoint of what death was than we do. This is where you find intense emotional wells, the secrets of the soul. But now, when you're dealing with Scorpio, who rules the eighth house, and Pluto, who rules Scorpio, you're dealing with compulsions, obsessions, primal activity, primal entanglement. So the eighth house concerns those issues that we're often at the mercy of. These issues feel fated and hard to resolve. So the eighth house is the life area of sexuality, since merging with another is a kind of death. In the eighth house, orgasms is often called a little death because it's a surrender. And the eighth house can deal with like two people, how you relate to another person, how you share your resources with another person. And the eighth house is implying that this person will be part of your evolution of your life here on Earth. But the 8th house deals with merging, like shared resources, sharing your finances, other people's finances. Inheritance, possessions, finances, sex, death, and taxes, all in the 8th house, which is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. You're going to get hit with Plutonian lessons here. Now, I've been doing natal charts for a long time, and always when you get to any form of relationship, that's when you start seeing that karma and retrogrades and all kind of stuff. So even and I'm going to tell you why, whether you choose to believe it or not. When you study the Bible, God does tell you, I'm a jealous God. And when you study the words of Jesus Christ, he said, you can't love nobody more than me, not your mother, not nobody. So there is a jealousy with God, and this is why these relationships are always gonna have some type of problem, always. Because, like I said, if you met somebody that really did knock you off your feet and answered all your questions, and they were your all and in, you're not really gonna be caring too much about God. You're gonna be wanting to be with that person, spending money. Like I said, ideal situation, somebody that really is your quote soulmate, unquote, and y'all got money and y'all got the ability to travel, you probably would be spending most of your time with that person, just enjoying enjoying the world, enjoying life, and all that. So this is why God is going to cause these Plutonian lessons, and see, Pluto and Scorpio are powerful. So you're headed for a power struggle, codependencies and stalking. All of this is coming in the 8th house. So when your relationship isn't the most desirable thing in life, a lot of people end up, believe it or not, because I know in the 80s I did. That's what really knocked me into whatever religion I found myself in, was I broke up with my girlfriend or whatever else. And now I'm just sitting there wondering why, or whatever. Whoever broke up with whoever, we both broke up. And I'm in church with all the questions why. But that's what kind of like pivoted me there. So what I'm trying to say is that's how this universe is run. And the more people realize that, the better off you'll be. Because a lot of times people base their belief systems on stuff that's just not true. And then that's when you have a rude awakening. Even with relationships. Because people really think, oh, this is the one for me and blah, blah, blah. But that person's going to have faults like everybody else. And unfortunately, sometimes when you do find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, it might be their in-laws, it might be their exes, it may be something going on in their life, but you're still going to have to deal with it. And as long as you're here, you're going to have to deal with it. And that's why scripturally speaking, the correct way of doing it is God comes first. And you got to really say what the Bible says, walk in the spirit, God comes first. And you got to learn how to go through life, because if you do it that way, you won't have all those extreme emotions that really cause knocking a person off balance. And that also is how you start to grip obsession and all that stuff, because you stop like what you see out here on YouTube. You see these people going crazy for the whole twin flame this. Every time a new twin flame video come out, even though it's like the 1 billion, it's still like tons of people watching the video. So that's an obsession. So God don't want that. That's like idolatry. And there's no way you're gonna be stable. And if you take that energy into a relationship, you're gonna destroy it, because it's gonna be too stalky and too needy and too codependent, and it's a person gonna eventually pull away from you. So you've got your Pluto right there, so that you're gonna have Plutonian lessons, and these lessons are gonna defy an explanation, just like the Book of Job. See, the Book of Job is all about a Pluto attack, because he lost everything, destroyed everything, lost everything, and God never explained why. Why did you choose a righteous man and tell Satan to attack him. See, Satan represents Saturn, or that Saturnian lesson. So why would you attack this righteous man, but God never explained it at all? So Plutonian lessons are like that. They're going to devastate you, but there's not going to be anybody that's going to explain to you why it happened. And it's not going to be understood, but they expect you to live it and accept it. So the 8th house involves a soul level change we go through in a lifetime. So in the 8th house, you're going to experience many deaths or transformations. So wherever you see Pluto, like in your 2nd house, you're going to see that. And that's why you got the death card, the death number 13. So there will be so-called deaths, but also resurrections regarding your finances, possessions, your value system. And also somehow your love is associated with it. The 8th house is associated with the occult, which means things that are hidden or secrets. You can deal with dark psychology in 8th house, crime, karma, dirty tricks, revenge, jealousy, control. So your 8th house is the house of the shadow power. So everything going on in that shadow personality is going to be in that 8th house. All right. So dirty tricks is in the 8th house, revenge, jealousy, control. So your 8th house is going to bring you intense energies or struggles in your 8th house. Yes, you got to remember your 2nd house is about your money, ruled by Taurus. But see, you have Pluto in your 2nd house. So now Pluto rules Scorpio, and that's the 8th house. That's about other people's money. So right away they're showing that you and that lover, that Venus, is going to be having those type of wars over finances. And that's why I try to tell people you have to be very careful with your resources, because a lot of times you meet somebody, oh, well, this is my man or whatever, we gonna share our finances, but that could really blow up in your face, because you already see Pluto there, so you know it's gonna be a whole lot of arguing, all kind of crazy stuff going on. So that's how you could just lose all your money. That's why I try to tell people, keep your money in your own account. If you want to share some of your money with him and y'all both have your account for that purpose. But when you just turn stuff over just because, oh, quote, he's my man, unquote, that wouldn't be too wise. And you're already seeing it in your natal chart. When you see Pluto or Scorpio, that may be about power struggles. Power struggles. So again, we're going to do the 8th house again. Secrets, sexual matters, mysteries, doubt, accusations, suspicions, supernatural psychic abilities, internal plotting, internal indignation, conspiracy, vengeance, revenge, anxiety, exoteric information, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, convulsion, power struggles, manipulation, power manipulations, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, codependencies, stalking, jealousy, watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, fear, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sexuality, doubt, depth, taxes, legal matters, court, lawsuits, inheritances, law breaking, shared resources, crime and punishment, finances, business, karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, agents, addictions, drug, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, and other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, healing, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, internet, long distance, advanced technology, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden or taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, deceived persons, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, the underworld, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancies, woman's body, and finance. All these things are in the eighth house. And remember, I keep telling you about law and stuff like that, so you can see the possibilities. So again, if a person has low self-esteem for whatever reason, then Venus conjunct Pluto is going to mean lack of self-love and destructive relationships. You may become a victim of betrayal or abuse. You may go through much pain each time you are stung. This can be a repeating cycle, spiraling down to despair. All these are eighth house things: jealousy, possessiveness, manipulation, and even crime. And remember, crime is any form of law breaking. That's why people have to understand. Because the first thing you say, oh, I'm not a lawbreaker, I'm not a bad person. Crime may result in disgrace and embarrassment. And that's what that number 15 is. It's career and reputation. It's Capricorn energy. And they talk about abuse through drugs, which we will be looking at later on in the chart if it's there. And other forms of self-harm, poverty, sadomasochism, Sexual abuse and rape would be extreme examples. Now, I work with a female. I would love to give you more, because the more you wake up, the more you'll start seeing stuff. Like you might have somebody around you named Angela, but not only like Angela, but then all of a sudden Angela becomes the head manager on the floor when she used to be a coworker just like you. Like all this stuff is just how the universe keeps in your mind who you are or what this is really about. Because Angela means angels. And I remember one time when she became manager, she called me and my twin flame up to the table at the same time. Now she didn't know what she was doing, but it was the universe. And me and my twin flame didn't really talk. We didn't really get along. But she called both of us up and stuff like that. But a lot of stuff like that happened. I just can't get into it. But anyway, Angela had a beautiful, beautiful angelic niece, and unfortunately, because of just human nature, as far as like I don't know how to say it, but basically her failure to protect her niece got that poor girl got raped. But I always blame Angela for that, because Angela, you just would have to know. These were people I work with like every day, like 4 or 5 days a week. But me and her were the poor female. Me and her were like best friends. Like everybody in there, she was like, you had that one person that really gets to your heart. Like nobody else really had that, and that always stuck with me. And why I'm telling you all that, because they just mentioned rape and it made me think of sexual abuse. And just yesterday, a female came in my newer job, the store, and she's like that. She's like almost angelic. So I when I got home, I just started praying all over her, because I see it too often. I just see it. It's like it's just something about this planet. Like when you think about the book of Job, they tell you Job was the most righteous man on the planet, and all he did was help other people. So out of all the people to put a hit out on, why put a hit out on Job when he's doing what he's supposed to be doing? Why didn't you put a hit out on the wicked? So the more I see that and the more I study, even like songs like The Good Die Young and stuff, it makes you really take things a little bit more seriously on this planet. And that's why when people are looking for somebody to love, or a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a date, I just ask myself a little bit more. Like I've learned, I'm a little bit older now. I've gone through all that other stuff, and you have to begin to realize, what am I getting out of this? And also, you have to, like I said, that joint finance stuff is crazy. Plus, you got to understand, your second house is supposed to be your money. It's not supposed to be joint finance, but you already got Pluto there. And that's why I said I'm trying to tell you how the world really works. This is why people don't like me, because I tell the truth. But a lot of times people say, they become very materialistic or very earthy. But that's how they get beat up and raped and stuff. And you don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. Not that I'm blaming the person, but the bottom line, just like right now, if I wanted to hang out with my homies, I'm going to hang out with my homies, we're going to go out drinking and all that. And you already know what's going to happen. You already know you're going to drink, you're going to start acting crazy, and then you're probably going to be in trouble with the law, depending on how crazy y'all get. So one thing is going to lead to another. But unfortunately, we live in a world where people don't want to take responsibility for the actions, or somebody says, "Oh, well, that's not my problem." That's not my fault. If that's how that guy reacts to me acting like this, that's not my problem. But then that's how the situations occur. And in her case, she was an angel. You know what I'm saying? She was not the type of female to really go extreme or nothing. She was like an angel, but she was just with her aunt, because she thought the world of her aunt, so she thought she was safe. But that's how she got set up. And also, I'll tell you something else that people don't want to hear. A lot of times, I've dated too many females, and their own mother was jealous of them. So that's crazy when your own mother's jealous of you. So these are traits that are inside people, and that's why the Bible talks about repentance and getting that stuff out of you. But a lot of people don't. And a lot of this stuff are spirits. So you have to be careful. So that's why I try to teach people. You have to be alert at all times, because you never know what another person's thinking. And I can tell you, because of my sister lying, and she's still a liar, because of my sister lying when I was younger, I took brutal beatdowns from my father. And you would think when she saw him beat me down that bad once, you would think she'd stop, but that made her do it more. So that's that evil I'm talking about, that's in people. So you got to notice, and this is why when your Bible tells you about Joseph was almost put to death by his own brothers. His own brothers wanted to kill him. And that's a horrible thing when your own blood, the same blood going through your veins, and they wanted to kill him. So this stuff is real. And I also did a reading for a person. She had to get restraining orders on every member of her family. So when you see Pluto or Scorpio in these houses, you know what it's like. But that's why I said you have to get to the point where you love yourself more, so that you don't allow all that crazy stuff to go on. Somebody putting their hands on you, somebody hurting you, or cheating on you, or trying to take your money from you, and it's your money. So anybody with Pluto, they're saying Pluto conjunct Venus, this person can heal well, because Scorpio heals very well. Pluto rules Scorpio. They can heal well, and they can kind of deal with pain, even though it's very painful, but they're able to go through it. So they say, they keep talking about fate, because you got Pluto conjunct Venus. So he keeps saying fate. And he's saying fate may take you into the darkness and stuff like that, so that you will be able to rise like the butterfly from the cocoon. You have to have positive self-esteem and self-love. Then you'll be able to enjoy the intensity of love and affections of a partner and good friends. They're also advising you to eliminate negative association and behaviors from your life, because that's an important part of your development. So you need to find friends or lovers who take relationships seriously. But very few people are going to love as deeply as you do with Pluto conjunct Venus. So he said, don't worry about it. Just make sure they love you as much as they possibly can. Okay, I said Pluto just went retrograde in Capricorn. And that's what I was already mentioning. And remember, Capricorn is your career and your reputation. Pluto retrograde, when it's time for you to make a move and you haven't made it, then Pluto comes to devastate everything. And because, like I said, Virgo's there, so it's going to affect the home some type of way. Now, so we learned about what it is, Pluto conjunct Venus. So now you got to learn Uranus conjunct Pluto. Wow, listen to this. It says Uranus conjunct Pluto gives an intense need for freedom, but also subjects you to powerful controlling forces. So now you know it's going to be extreme in that second house. But remember, it's not just the second house, it's also the home. See, that's why I told you when I saw that number 26, that's why I be telling you, I know what I'm talking about. Because when we first started, because she misspelled natal. And I was like, man, I never saw nobody. I've done thousands of natal charts. But she spelled it like a name. So I knew it had to be something, some connection. So I asked her. And then she thought it was like, oh, that's no, that's just a side. I said, no, it's not a side. I said, nothing's accidental or coincidental. And so then, like I said, she explained what she said. And then as soon as we got to her natal chart, you see it again. And so far, if you notice, it really, when I say they, the people who made your natal chart. Now, if you want to say God, that's fine. But whoever made your natal chart, they knew what they were doing, because this is all about the home and things like that, and who people really are. So now you can understand why this second house is going to be like a big shakeup, because you have Uranus, which is saying, don't tell me, I want to be free. And plus, this is my second house, so this really should be about my money, my home, and stuff like that. But then you got a controlling force saying, nah, this is the way we're going to do it. And this second house, we need to put our finances together and blah, blah, blah. But everybody knows that's unnatural, because this is the second house. It's not supposed to be about shared resources. So you already know that's going to go to the ground and burn at some point. But there's a major concern, because one person kind of wants to be, free, Uranus, and the other one is saying, nah. And it's too controlling, too powerful. And now that up above us, Pluto has gone retrograde in Capricorn, it may even blow up even more. If it hasn't already, it may blow up even more. Because Pluto retrograde is that big boom that gets you to where you need to be, astrologically speaking. So with Uranus conjunct Pluto, you are often caught in events beyond your control that can be dramatic and life-changing. So you may start to feel restrained, manipulated by people or society in general, and that could cause your agitation, your defiance, and your rebellion to increase. So if this person has a lack of stability, inconsistency of purpose, and that's why I say you love a human, but a human, they got faults like everybody else. And I think that's the biggest mistake people make. Like I say, and you see it out here, because you got these people that are obsessed with the ideal of twin flames. Most of them don't even know what a twin flame is, but they're obsessed with it. Nothing good's coming out of that, but just destabilization. They say this person can go from being a zero to a hero, but they can also spiral out of control or even hit rock bottom. Because that's how Uranus is. Uranus is unpredictable. But they said, but this person can also change their life, turning around very quickly. They said it's called an evolutionary leap. So somebody came in the store yesterday. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she like I said, she's the one. She's the angelic one. She's high above everybody. But it was good seeing her. But everything happens for a reason. You know, it's a lot of stuff going on. So it was kind of nice to see her. And she could have just came in and got her stuff and left, because I didn't even know that was her. And I probably wouldn't have figured it out, because I haven't seen her in a long time. But she made sure she saw me. She made sure she knew and everything, which was cool. Now they're saying extreme or provocative behavior such as ruthlessness, intimidation, or bullying can cause controversy and chaos. Your relationships can be exciting and passionate, but also tumultuous and painful. And this is what we're seeing in the second house. But again, she has to watch it, because she does have that possibility to be a bully. We learned that in the first house. But we got to be careful with that type of energy. Because remember, you're always going to be dealing with karma, especially when you're dealing with Saturn. But even Pluto teaches karmic lessons, because what goes around comes around. So this person may have an unusual or unorthodox attitude or appearance, but sometimes it might just be their kids. So this person may have an interest in occult, spiritualism, or abnormal states of mind. You will have a liberating, reforming, and modernizing impact on society, culture, politics, and on the human condition. And that's why you see that number 27 there with Venus, because number 27 is the diplomat. This is the person that's able to talk to other people and help them along their way based on experiences they have or have had. So the money is definitely going to be getting shook up. Money, possessions, value systems shook up because of what's going on in that second house. Third house, look at that. Totally empty. So you got Libra there. So now, just going by the first three houses, because in some ways your chart is kind of similar to mine. But you can already tell. See, your third house is ruled by Gemini, and that's your true north node. Now, your true north node looks like a horseshoe. That is your purpose. This is why you're here. Your true life purpose is the true north node, and it's Libra. In the 11th house. Your 11th house is ruled by Aquarius and its friends, association, and groups. Now your third house ruled by Gemini. Now Gemini is about young children, like really young children, younger than teenagers, young children, their education, publishing. Your third house is very creative. So is your fifth house. Very creative. And it's also the third house is about the brotherhood around you, who's ever around you. That's your brotherhood. And also driving. Driving short distances. And also multitasking, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury and Virgo. So you're going to have multitasking. Now, the third house, when Gemini, is not good for relationships because it's short term. Why is it short term? Because both Gemini and Aquarius, they don't like to go deep. Now, Aquarius likes to say, I know, but it really don't know. Like what Aquarius tries to do is get catchphrases. Like I'll say love and light. Or let's just say you're a real teacher and you be using big words and you know what they mean and you know how to really explain it. An Aquarius will come around and just to try to get the big word and try to use it, but they don't know what they talking about. Like depending on who you are, like if you're an old school scholar or you're an old school technician when it comes to knowledge, you'll tell Aquarius off, because Aquarius will walk around and act like they know, and they want you to think they know so much, but they don't really know. You know, this is facts. You can look it up. This is astrological facts, not my opinion. Look it up. Not saying they don't get off on some stuff, but what Aquarius is good with doing the one to one, because I know an Aquarius and we always are at each other's end, just like the zodiac. If you look on your chart, you can see it. Aquarius is on one side, Leo's on the other. They're opposite each other for the most part. Yours is a little off, but it's still opposite each other. Now, but they are good. Like this one, he's good at gathering information, and a lot of stuff he says is kind of much true. You know, a lot of that stuff. So whenever you have Libra in the third house, anything like that, this is a relationship that is not going to last. Like you said, death and maybe rebirth. Now Libra is relationships, partnerships, contracts, open enemies, the law, the courtrooms. And all this is there in the realm of communication. So now with your Gemini in the 11th house, see what I'm saying, again, this is like a totally sociable person. But the funny thing about Gemini and or Aquarius is that they might be around people, but they still don't really want to, like they're not really trying to go deep. Like if they're around people, you know, it's like to have fun, or it might be business or something, but they really don't want to hear, you know, everything you're going through in your life, because they pretty much got their own stuff going on. And as a general rule, they don't want to go deep. So if you want to lose a Gemini, try to go deep with them, and they'll try to find a way up out of there. So right away you see your Libra or your 7th house is not necessarily going to be together. Now you're not somebody say I got it together, but it won't be. Now your 4th house, here you go. 4th house, very intense because Scorpio's there. But see, this is going to be the power struggles. Because see, a lot of families are soul families. And sometimes your family are people you've been in past lives with. Like if you just never could get along with your brother, sister, or whatever, that's probably some type of past life shit, believe it or not. So in your 4th house is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Now your 4th house means teenage to adult education, land and property or real estate, your ancestors or family. Vehicles in the heart, and also your mother, who will be in your subconscious mind your entire life. That's Imum Coeli. Imum Coeli. So when you see those fives, now 5 can mean Leo, because Leo rules the 5th house. 5 can also be Taurus, the bull, which is the Pope card, the Hierophant card, and the Tarot card. So now you got number 14. 14 means just give me a moment to think about it. Because you got the star card, yeah. So 14 is temperance, because the star card is 17. So you actually have 14 and 17. So you actually have, which is the star card energy, which is Aquarius, and then you have the temperance card energy, which is Sagittarius energy. And also you have see, 17 could be a karmic number too, because 17 will also break down to 18. So this is a very psychic, and your family is probably psychic. That's why I said even your son is probably psychic, because this is a psychic family. Whenever you're dealing with Scorpio, Sagittarius, Leo, Uranus, and especially like Neptune, because Neptune causes dreams, because Neptune rules Pisces. So again, your fourth house and your fourth house and your first house, all dealing with all this can be psychic. He went to Moon, Leo. So this is a very psychic person. But now they square. You have a Mercury square Leo. Not a Mercury, a Scorpio square Leo. Because if you notice, your Leo is 90 degrees from your Scorpio. So that's a square. So you gotta look at it. But see, those families can be very intense. Like I said, I keep talking about my sister. My family's just been like a nightmare. You know, it's like a freaking nightmare. It's always been crazy. But this is because you're probably dealing with a lot of Scorpio energy. I think my father was a Scorpio. You're dealing with a lot of Scorpio energy, and this is what these things are. And again, biblically speaking, I told you, you're talking about the people of God, the real people of God. But according to scriptures, they did something that caused them to actually get angry and take them down. And if you really just think about it, how come they are so hated? You know, it's like really hated. Like you know, you can't ignore it. You can act like it don't exist, but you can't say these are people like hated. Like why? What's the big deal with these people? It's other races on the planet, but they're not as hated as these. So you can kind of see the reasons why, and you see this in the family when you can't get along with your own sister. You're real. I just told you about Joseph. His own brothers tried to kill him. Told you about another lady where she had to give restraining orders from every member of her house. So this stuff is real. All right, this person calls, it says the lion and the cobra. Now, just so you know about the cobra, see, the cobra is. Let me just give you a couple of things. And I guarantee this one's gonna wake some people up, because this is some of the stuff I just learned. All right, now, when God called Moses, and I would like to extend it out, but I'm not going to, but I would love to. But anyway, to get to the point, when God called Moses, Moses had to go before Pharaoh. Now, first, God did this with Moses. What do you have there in your hand? A rod. Cast the rod down. So now God showed Moses what he wanted Moses to do. Moses went to Pharaoh. Now, you know them Egyptians. You can see that on YouTube. All them Egyptians had serpents in their crowns and all that. Serpents coming out the crown, out their pineal gland and all that. Sometimes it'd be more than one serpent. All kind of stuff going on. So now, when Moses went up to Pharaoh, he said, let my people go. Same way they're going to let us go. And Moses said, what are you talking about? Your people have been in captivity here. They ain't going nowhere. And who are you to come before Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh to let the people go? And Moses said, I come and said, blah, 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 blah. And so Pharaoh said, what sign do you have to tell Pharaoh to let these people go? Moses cast that rod rod down and became that great serpent, pretty much that cobra. So then Pharaoh and his people cast their serpents down, did the same thing. Serpents became cobra. But Moses' serpent ate theirs. Now, this is all in your Bible. Now jump out of the Old Testament, go to John chapter 3. I'm going to show it to you in two different locations. John chapter 3. This is how Jesus Christ identified himself. Just as Moses made the brass serpent in the wilderness, just as Moses lifted up the brass serpent in the wilderness, so too the Son of Man will be lifted up, that all things may be brought to me. I'm paraphrasing. But once again, so Messiah was saying, I am that serpent. I am the serpent that's even greater than Pharaoh's serpent. This is all in your Bible. Just read it. Now, Mark chapter 16. When Jesus resurrected, they called him the Nazarite, Jesus of Nazareth. I'm not even going to tell you about the Naga. That N-A-Z-A, whatever, is N-A-G-A. The Naga. And even when they say NASA, this government says NASA when it's talking about space. Now, what did God say to Abraham? I'm going to make your seed like the stars of heaven or the stars of space, because that's where the stars are at. The stars are in space. So that's Naga. That's N-A-G-A. That's the serpents too. And the Egyptians knew all this stuff. All you gotta do is look at Egypt. Look how they had their pyramids built up to space. Orion and Isis up in space. Sirius constellation is Isis. You got the Orion constellation. All right. So now in Mark chapter 16 about Jesus resurrecting. They show you the divine feminine, Mary, not Mother Mary, but Mary Magdalene, the divine feminine. Jesus is the divine masculine, the twin flames, twin souls. And then they say Jesus Nazareth, which is really Naga. And then if you read Mark 16, it talks about serpents again. You can't get past it. Only if you just don't want to admit it. But you can't get past it. And I told you, anybody sleeping on the truth, you're going to really be asleep for a long time. So now, your Scorpio square Leo, your fourth house and your first house. And it's funny because you even got number 14 in your fourth house. So that is the lion and the cobra, the Leo Scorpio square. See, that's it. Listen. Now this guy's name is, listen, this is chirotic.com. CHIROTIC.com. And I just gave you the title where to find it. And that's amazingly how he started it. Listen to what he said. He or she, whoever wrote this article. There are often profound insights to be found in Scripture. So he went exactly where I went. So the nature, he's saying the nature of Leo and Scorpio. He's saying a cobra will pretty much leave you alone if you don't provoke it. He's saying if the lion is well fed, it'll leave you alone if you don't disrespect it. So he said when you're talking about Leo, you're talking about leadership and creativity. So lion fire is towards exaltation. And he said the eternal flame. So Leo is a creative principle ruled by the sun, creator of all life. Which is actually why I don't want to read it, because he's talking about some other stuff that's not really, we're supposed to be learning about Leo square Scorpio. So I don't want to read the other stuff. So Leo is a fixed sign, so it's like a fire that cannot be put out. But again, that's why I said you have to be careful. And you do have some people that just love to argue. You know what I'm saying? So they'll be in a relationship, and at the end of the day, though, that's why it gets strange. But if that's what they into, that's really nothing you could do about it. You know what I'm saying? Because some people like to argue. So they say Leo's fire cannot be extinguished, managed, controlled, or argued with. Leo is always on type of energy, one type of energy that, like the lion, will not stand down. And that's very difficult. Like I said, when I first started the job I'm at now, see, I've been around for a while, and I've been through it all. Like, when you really walk with God, you're going to see some shit. You're going to go through, he's going to make sure you go through all that. And all this stuff I'm talking about, it's in the Bible too. But to get to a point, so you don't really have a lot of fear and stuff no more, because you've been through everything. And you just know God is your stronghold, God is your refuge. You're not really worrying about too much other stuff. And people kind of, once they realize, when they recognize that about you, they don't mess with you too much, because they know you ain't gonna put up with that BS. And like, a lot of stuff in life is like, bullies get away with stuff because people are afraid. The moment you stop being afraid of bullies, they stop being afraid. Like the other day, I was in the drive-through. That should have opened up at 9 o'clock. But it's always like, this is like everyday stuff with me. It's always gonna be some BS, because you're fighting against, like, it's light versus the darkness at the end of the day. So you're trying to be respectful because you don't want to argue. You just want to get your transaction. But I'm in good old fashioned New Jersey, and my part of Jersey, you always gonna have somebody arguing with you. Just the way it is. It's like when Captain Kirk beamed down from Star Trek. As soon as they got here, everything was like F you, and everybody's disrespectful. That's how it could be. So okay, 9 o'clock, light don't come on. Right? So we just sitting there. It's somebody behind me, and they were way more patient than me. So I said, I'm not looking for no trouble. I'm not looking for no fight. But at least they can get the light on. You know what I'm saying? No light come on. It go 902, 903, 904, 905. And I'm like, this is some bull. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be open. What the heck? And there's always some problem with this location and stuff. That's why I be saying they be trying to have beef with me. Don't have no beef with me, because your stuff is messed up. And I know who to contact at the corporate office. Like, don't mess with me. I'm not here to argue with y'all. I'm just here to do business and get the heck up out of here. So after that, like I said, okay, forget this. So I started edging my car up, because I'm like, it's 9:05. It's like 9:06. You can't get mad. You should be open. This light should have been on. So don't have me pull up and you say something slick, because you're not gonna have the last laugh. Because that's why I say I be trying to tell people, watch what you saying to people, because you don't know who know your boss. You don't know who know your boss's number. So I just pulled up there and I just started looking in the bank, seeing who was up in there. No, because this bank be doing some shady stuff. You know what I'm saying? Don't be opening on day. I was like, is the day a holiday? Why ain't they open? So I had to jump in my car, ride all the way up like 4 or 5 miles up the highway to the other one, and that location was closed. Like they be doing some shady shit. Like, so I just pulled up. I just started looking in the window because I'm getting pissed off. I'm seeing who's in there. You know, nobody's at the drive. Like, what the heck? Where's the person at? So he finally came to the window, and he was smart enough to keep his mouth shut. Cause like one time I tell you, they know me because they know I've been ratted them out a few times. But it's like financial. Like you ain't playing with me. When it comes to finances, we're not gonna play games. And I was in somebody else's car one time, and here I'm in somebody else's car, and they still say to me, "Hi, Mr. So and so." Like, why you say hi to me? I'm not doing no transaction up here. But they know I rat them out, and they don't want no beef. So that's what I mean about the lion will not stand down. But it's not so much this line. Like I said, I learned a lot. Sometimes you can't stand down. Sometimes things have to be made clear. But once you make it clear, but I ain't going to be arguing with somebody all the time. If I was in an environment that was always arguing, I would have to leave. I had to quit and go somewhere else. Because to me, it's not beneficial. But I know some people love to argue. But if you could deal with it, that's your business. So he said, now the cobra is cold-blooded, deadly, hard to properly see, and the cobra is generally feared. But not feared for respect for its magnificence like the lion. Because the cobra is feared because it will leave you dead as soon as it look at you. The cobra is not mighty and divine in the kingly way that the lion is, but probably just as deadly, he's saying. So they say the cobra or the scorpion because that's Scorpio energy. So they say when you think of a cobra, he can kill you immediately. But when you think of the cobra, you think of survival. So he keeps saying survival, survival. So they also say when you think of the cobra, you think of penetration, and then he said it also can be connected with sex. He said the essence of Scorpio or Scorpio energy is always survival. So he said Mars in Scorpio is all about survival. He said, and it's not chival, like chivalry, chivalric, like Mars and Leo, with honor and glory. He said it's not like that. Mars and Scorpio is just totally about domination and survival. And they said when you're dealing with Scorpio, you're dealing with kill or be killed mentality. So now he's going back to the Leo Scorpio square. He said both signs are fixed. Both will not give way or ahead. A lion's not going back down because you don't want to be dishonored. Hey yo, I was watching this Animal Kingdom whatever video. I don't know if it was Animal Kingdom, but it was the animals. And a lion thought he had that zebra, but that zebra fought and fought and fought and got away. And so when the zebra got away from the lion, the lion walked over to the like a shaded tree, and he sat down under the tree, and he went like this. He shook his head and sighed. Like, I can't believe that dude got away from me. That shit was funny, but he was really mad. He was like, I can't believe that thing got away from me. Like, that really messed up his pride and shit. So because the Scorpio has a survival instinct very strong, he's not going to back down either. It's kind of funny how this is how I started. Remember, I started this by saying you better learn how to back down and shit, especially with that big 25, because that's the law. And he said the same thing that Scorpio has a reputation. He can't have a reputation for fleeing because then they say he's the hunter. But if he develops a reputation for fleeing, he's going to become a predator because people are going to say he's scared. So he's saying when you have a square of a lion or a Scorpio, he said there is no compromise. This is crazy. This is crazy. Both of them want to go their own way, and neither's going to be ready to back down. So the result is going to be tension and ultimately inertia. The tension is multiplied and magnified. So they say neither sign understands the other. The water is stagnant of the Scorpio or the Cobra, and the flame is inextinguishable. They said it's an irresistible force and an immovable object combination that simply creates a particular form of perilous. So they say they're not gonna back down. So all of a sudden he jumps to Ted Bundy. Whoever wrote this article, he jumped to Ted Bundy. Said this man is estimated to have murdered between 29 and 100 young women. So that's why I said I don't know why, because one thing we was reading the word in your second house, the word rape came up, and now it's going back again. Now in your fourth house and first house, now they talking about Ted Bundy. So that's why I say this stuff is being said for a reason. And that's why I said people have to learn to listen, because that's how the universe speaks to you. Because it could be you, it could be anybody, whoever. But that's why I said you have to learn how can I avoid being in a situation where somebody would take my life or harm me in any way. Now he's talking about Scorpio. He's talking about Ted Bundy nativity. But he's talking about Scorpio riding the Imum Quelli, which I did talk about. But see, that's your mother and your subconscious mind. And believe me, see, that's when you hear about Carl Sagan, or you hear comedians talking about your mother in the fourth house, the Imum Quelli. But she has a universal job to really get inside your head. Whether you guys know that or not. That's in astrology. That's the Imum Quelli. You could look it up. And you might ask why. Like I always say, well, the more you study metaphysics, the more you're going to see the divine feminine. And she comes in three lifespans. The little girl or the teenager, the woman, and then the crone or the old woman. So for some reason, like I said, it goes back to when God said, I'm a jealous God and blah, 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 blah. You get the same thing. Because why would you create somebody's mother to be, all inside their head and stuff like that? But it is what it is. So Saturn combined with Pluto is known for its brutality. But remember, both Saturn and Pluto teach lessons. So esoteric astrologers feel that Saturn deals with karma. So now he's talking about planet Neptune and all of this. And he said, it's a little surprised that Ted Bundy's life ended in prison at the hands of the legal system. See Neptune and Libra. See what I'm saying? Now, we just got finished talking about your Libra, and it's kind of interesting that your Libra is in the third house and ain't nothing there. And I told you that's the law as well. And also now we talking about Neptune because that's in your fourth house. So that's why I be trying to tell people. Sometimes you say, oh, you know, I ain't got no control. You got some control. And like some people say, you know, like I try to tell people, well, if it's on my chart, it must be there for a reason. Yeah, but you're going to be held. Like what y'all got to understand is just because astrology is saying yes, you still got to use common sense. You're going to be held responsible for whatever you do or don't do. So, like that whole soulmate is real. Twin flames, twin souls is real. But let's just say the universe brings your soulmate. Let's say you're a teacher and the universe brings you a young child. You know, young girl, whatever, 11, 12, 13, whatever. But no matter what happens, because when you're dealing with this, you're dealing with strange coincidences. They might start dreaming about each other. Because like I said, that's Neptune. That's planet Neptune is controlling your dreams. Like no matter where he goes, she might pop up or vice versa. And the way she's looking at him in the classroom and stuff like that. So that's why a lot of times when you see like these old people running away with these young kids, all that shit is like soulmate and soul stuff. Not every single situation, but a lot of them are. It was one lady that had a relationship with her student, and the student was just a young kid, and his family knew about it, and the family didn't stop it. So when you're dealing with these soulmate and all them type of things, these are the type of things that happen. But what I'm trying to tell you is just because it's on your chart or just because the universe is saying go for it and go, you're not, because you're still going to answer for it. And no judge on planet Earth is going to say, you know what? Now that you explain astrology to me, how could I possibly rule you guilty? If the universe says you two should have hooked up, age ain't nothing but a number. Not guilty. Because they get his ass. If he said that, they would get him off that bench. So you're responsible for your actions. That's why I said just because your natal chart says something, don't necessarily mean you follow it. Because if you do follow it, you're going to get everything that's coming to you legally. All right, give me a moment. So now I said the sun, the ruler of the Leo is Sun, and they said now place the brutality in context. And they're saying this could be sadistic sexual tendencies. And he said in private, he said the fourth. So for some reason he's associating the fourth house with privacy. And they said the majority of his attacks were carried out in his car or in the homes of his victims. Third and fourth houses. Yeah, because like I said, the third house is about travel. And it's about usually short distances. And the fourth house would be, well, really the fourth house is about family. So usually when you're talking about the home, you're talking about Virgo. But it could still be the fourth house. But generally it's like, it would be Virgo. So he might have had some Virgo in his fourth house in those areas. But what everybody got to understand is, how was this man able to get? It's some men that can't get one woman. How was he able to get like 29? This guy said 29 to 100 victims. So that's why I keep trying to tell you, it's just something about this planet. It really is. So like if a female, when she's unbelievably attracted to the bad boy, but he's no good for her, but she's ready to go head over heels for him, when all he's gonna do is play her out, break her heart or whatever. But the guy that really loves her, she'll just tell him, break him down, break his heart and everything. So that's why I say I just sit here and watch all this stuff all the time. So they're saying if you see Mercury, Venus, Scorpio, that's somebody who thinks about sexual or power issues. He may confuse love and sex. And he's also sexually dissatisfied. This is implied by the Venus quincunx, deviant, Uranian thinking in Gemini. So he's going on and going on and going on. Then he starts to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, so that Leo square Scorpio, I mean, the person ain't going to back down. Which means only the extremity is only going to increase if somebody doesn't back down. And that's dangerous as well. So again, Scorpio in the fourth house is usually families with power struggles, and they may also be fighting over wills and inheritances and all kind of crazy stuff. But it's definitely going to be a whole bunch of obsessions, power struggles, and everything I already said when I read that whole list. Now, the unique thing about Scorpio, like the Sun in Scorpio, this is a person who kind of feels comfortable in the unknown. And this is a person that kind of feels comfortable in the realm of mystery or hidden stuff. And they're not afraid to deal with it or pull it out. And that's why you got so much Sun energy or Leo energy and even Aries or Mars energy on your chart. Now you have part of fortune. Now I want to see like that circle with the X going through it. That's called part of fortune or good fortune. All right. All right, just give me a moment. All right, part of fortune or good fortune, same thing with the sun, but we'll learn more about it. When you see a horoscope where the sun is conjunct a part of fortune, remember how we arrived at the part of fortune. So part of fortune will show you the avenue to happiness, success, and sheer joy. All right. All right. So like I said, you're gonna be getting all kind of psychic and stuff going from Neptune. See, these are all water signs. Scorpio is a water sign, Neptune. But I also gotta warn you, anytime you have any type of Scorpio or Pluto or Cancer connection, you have to be careful of spirits. And again, when you see all that home fighting each other and family not getting along, that's usually spirits too. Like I said, I see it when people are just extremely narcissistic. Like they gotta keep something going, even if it means lying and all that. These are people that got spirits on them. Now, when you say the Lord's Prayer, that's you asking for deliverance, but that's one of the ways to do it. But you have to get deliverance. If you always caught up in something, always, that's spirits. All right, all right. Now, it's a very active house though, with the sun there. Like I said, some people they almost like to argue, and it's almost like that warrior spirit. And then also this person right here with Mercury, see they like if you mess with them because it's the Sun and Scorpio with Mercury, this is a person that can really destroy you. Like take all your everything about you and put it out in the open, you know, and just really mess with you. Like if they was a rapper, they would be kind of sweet with it. Because they got Mercury and they got the Sun and Scorpio. Sun and Scorpio, I mean, they could take the hidden stuff, things that are people, the most people don't know, and just use it just to destroy you, like expose you. Now we're gonna look at Neptune and Scorpio. Give me a moment to pull it up. So Neptune is unafraid. Neptune and Scorpio is unafraid of the darker aspects of life. They may be interested in the esoteric, the mystical, or the occult sciences. All right. Now, Neptune and Scorpio see physical desires and sexuality as spiritual experience that is acceptable. So this person might find interest in Eastern philosophies, practices, or hallucinations. It says Neptune and Scorpio's passionate nature shows in everything they do, both internally and externally. They may become intrigued with religion or cults that share their beliefs. Paranormal phenomena are very interesting to them. They need to learn to discriminate in their beliefs and not choose just to believe in something just because it may be profound or mystical. They may be selfish and self sacrificing, which creates inner conflict for them. Dealing with deeper issues may help them overcome this. All right. All right. Neptune and Scorpio tends to want to delve into the dark secrets of nature and the inner workings of the soul. They can see beyond reason into inspiration and perception. Yeah, anything with Scorpio, you can't hide. And that's her sun sign. Like, if you try to hide shit from a Scorpio, they're just going to know. And, like, they're very suspicious anyway. They doubt a lot. But once they believe in you, like, they'll really be faithful to you or whatever. But once they doubt you, then they gonna doubt you. Like if they catch you lying, if they catch you, then it's gonna be a long time before they trust you again. And they're very vindictive and they're very smart, so they know how to get you back. And when they get you, you won't even see it's coming until it's too late. They say sometimes these people can have a bad temper, but these people will fall to escapism with drugs or drinks and things like that. So that's why I said this. In that sense, this is why they would be in a fantasy world, because Neptune is a fantasizer. They call Neptune a liar because he deals with idealism, but he doesn't always deal with reality. Neptune and Scorpio can bring a lot of energy through sex, and they learn they can also bring this ecstasy into the spirit realm through discipline or blocking normal uses. So this person might try altered states to go into cosmic consciousness, but they telling you this is a dangerous path. So Neptune represents intuition, psychic abilities, illusions, spiritual awareness, confusion, dreams, fantasies, aesthetic, AESTHETE, likes and dislikes. All right. Scorpio is a water sign, and Neptune rules Pisces, which is a water sign. So Scorpios feel everything right down to their very soul, making them an intense person. Their intuition is impeccable. They can read everybody like a book. And also they have unbelievable healing powers for themselves and other people as well. So it's always, the goal is to take your signs or the energy and make it positive. But unfortunately, we don't always reach those goals. But the Temperance card is number 14, which is about balancing the masculine and feminine energies. And then the other card, the Star card, is Aquarius energy, but it looks like the Temperance card. It's still about balancing masculine and feminine energy. So that's going on in your 4th house. All right. Now in the 5th house. Again, you see the 5th house is ruled by Leo, and you see Sagittarius right there. Again, 2 fire signs, but that's going to be a very psychic house. And it's here that they start to really get in with your asteroids. Now that asteroid that looks like a star with a cross underneath it, that's Juno. Now Juno tells you that you're going to find yourself in a serious relationship with either a Leo or a Sagittarius. So on your chart, I'm pretty sure that your 5s mean Leo. All right. Now that Pallas, that asteroid that looks like a diamond, usually Pallas represents like the more mature person in a relationship. But Pallas is a soulmate. And there it goes again with 16 degrees, which is Mars energy. And he has that 13 as well. It's 16 degrees in 13 minutes. So your other half, which is called your twin soul or twin flame, they may really have that Mars energy going on. Now your Juno's at 10 degrees. Well, that's the wheel card, the wheel of fortune, which means sometimes it's good days, sometimes it's not, but it's Jupiter energy. Now Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So when you see that in your chart, it could be your 5th house that's ruled by a Leo, that you may experience expansion, good fortune, finances. Now again, you have Lilith at 5 degrees. So now we're going to try to pull up our paperwork on Lilith. But the good news, like your Lilith is direct, it's not retrograde, because a lot of Liliths are retrograde. And that could mean internal situations or repression. But yours isn't retrograde. So Lilith in the 5th house. So the 5th house, house of children, creativity, communication, fun. So Lilith is always known as someone who has a problem with her own conception, with having children. Now I don't always say that's the case or not the case, but that is something else they say about her that seems to stick. And they're saying this person may have sexual passions, which can even become aggressive. So they're saying this person might refuse motherhood or implement disconnection from her child. And they say it could even be hatred towards the child, one way or another, internally or externally. All right. All right. All right. So they're saying because creativity, Lilith in the 5th house, she'll force more to be good in everything the person is doing, and that's like really riding. That could ride somebody. That's like nagging, and that's not really good, especially for children. Motivation is one thing, but like really extremities is not good. Want to stay away from all extremes, especially with a chart like this. Now, if you want to be extreme yourself as an adult, then that's like your prerogative. But for other people, it's just not good. You want to teach balance. All right. And they say some people with displacement, they may actually have creative blockage, and they don't have confidence. So Lilith in the 5th house. And now we'll look at Lilith in Leo. All Just give me a moment. I'm just looking for it. All right. Now I'm gonna see if Astrology K has this Lilith in Leo. Nope. All right, I'm almost there. Leon Taurus is number 2. Cancer. All right. Give me one moment. All right, once again, give me a moment. Now they're saying that the person enjoys giving praise to the object of her love and the fruits of her labor, but she expects the same thing. All right. They're saying she could be narcissistic, self-centered and ambitious, abusing her power, All right. They said this person, Lilith in the fifth house, will have Lilith and Leo will have an exaggerated sense of the importance of her presence. Because Leo rules the fifth house, so that's why I'm just reading that. But let's do this. Let's do Lilith and Sagittarius, because we already did Lilith in the fifth house. So they're saying Lilith and Sagittarius would be a person who just thinks the whole world should be kneeling to them, acknowledging their greatness. So this person feels that she can't make mistakes. All right. All right. So she tends to oppress those who oppose her authority, or she threatens with her sphere of influence. They say this person may be unpredictable, rapacious. She may have a penchant for shocking behavior. She claims the role of a leader, of a grandmaster, of a messiah, and easily falls into megalomania. All right, so now they say the intermediate level, the interior level rather. The person has a huge ego, a lot of vanity, great ambitions. She aspires to power and luxury at all costs, and that would explain the second house. And is an active consumer. That's why you see all these fives, because even in her second house you see fives. But I see they do that a lot in astrology. They take five and they put it with Taurus, but Taurus rules the second house of money possessions, like I said. But five is really the number for Leo, the fifth house. But they do that a lot. She's an active consumer who aims at winning it all. This is the karma of a great adventurer, a false prophet, an ideological sabotager, or an impostor of a teacher who took merits for the achievement of others. In a previous life, the person could have been a politician, a scientist, or a religious leader who used his influence with malicious intent. In this life, this person is easily convinced by ideological propaganda and tends to mislead other people or herself by preaching false doctrines. She also, it's funny how they keep going she also has a tendency for contempt, often exhibits the attributes of a braggart, and will be prompt to attribute her own weaknesses to others. She will justify her own acts at all costs and will repress those under her influence. So the person may herself become a victim of false teachers. She may be manipulated by ideological propagandas for her, or lose her authority through blindness or hubris. She may suffer from the isolations typical of Hamlet personality type, or be exasperated when faith seems to be offering her something, only to end up divesting it from her. In a previous life, this person has abused their power and position, using them for unworthy or selfish purposes. She was too proud, was disrespectful with people, or followed false teachings. In this life, she constantly is suffering persecution and injustices from government and religious structures. The problems for her come from foreigners, and she faces high risk of accidents during long journeys, and as well as from fire. Such a person should not get involved in spreading an ideology. She should content herself with being a follower, a meditator, and refrain from teaching others, despite the desire she may feel to do so. So that was Lilith in Sagittarius. All right, now here we go again. So now you got your Capricorn, and see that cross is called the vertex. Vertex cross, that is your destiny. That is your fate. That is a significant meeting or a significant breakup or a significant event. It could be your soulmate. That's anybody in your soul family, but especially somebody you got some type of history with or some type of close situation with. Or it could be your twin soul. Your twin soul is your twin flame. Same soul, different body. Number 2 is the High Priestess card, moon energy, but it could also be couples. And number 7 is the Chariot card, Cancer energy. And whenever you see Cancer and Capricorn that closely connected, it definitely could have significant astrological significance. And I know I said the word twice. This is your 6th house again. Once again, that Virgo energy. So you have some type of Virgo Capricorn going on. And anything with Saturn or Capricorn is definitely karmic. And when you go to Virgo in your 2nd house, right there you see Pluto at 15 degrees. And that 15 is going to be Capricornic energy, but it's still going to be karmic. So now whatever's going on with the person, remember your 6th house is about health, service, healing, daily activities, daily duties, small children, small animals. And nurturing is going on. And that asteroid that looks like a hook is Curious, the nurturer. And it's going to be Cancer energy because it's 7 degrees. 7 degrees is the Chariot card, which again is like somebody coming and driving, but it's Cancer energy. Something coming your way kind of fast. So Capricorn in the 6th house is going to be a serious approach, but it could also be some type of home business. Some type of home business. Rather working it out of your home or going to somebody else's home or whatever, but definitely home. Now, in your 7th house is Aquarius. Now, Aquarius rules your 11th house, where your true north node is, with Gemini. So once again, you can tell that this person wants their freedom. Aquarius is just like Gemini. Well, I'll be in a relationship with you, but I'm going to have my freedom. But unfortunately, she gets kind of stopped again, just like she did with Pluto conjunct Venus. Because that Saturn retrograde, it's implying that she's no nonsense, but it also can be implying that she also has somebody that's telling her, oh no. Like I had 2 different people tell me this. But one time I was at this bar and a woman came in, so she reminded me of me because she just didn't care about nothing. She was coming around, she was just like me. She would play that jukebox, I would play that jukebox. And she came in, she was just spinning around in the bar, just spinning around. And she had just walked in the bar. So she wasn't even drunk yet. She's spinning all around that bar. I said, oh, I like this lady. She just like me. She just don't care. So it took a while before we hooked up, but we did hook up. We hung out one night, and that was like one of my funnest times ever hanging out. She almost got in a fight with like a high school kid and shit, like a high school girl and shit. Cause we went to get some pizza or something. We was on Main Street in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And we went to get some pizza or something. And I guess one of them girls said something to her. She's getting ready to fight her. I thought that shit was so funny. So, but this is what she told me. So we was asking each other, what's your zodiac sign? And I said, when I said Leo, she said, I won't date no Leo. I said, why won't you date no Leo? She said, because she said, I dated everybody. She said, I dated all signs, everybody. She said, I would always, say I'm doing this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. She said Leo was the only one that said to me, you can't do it. And I busted out laughing. I said, yeah. I said, I'm sorry, I know that's true and shit. She said Leo was the only sign that ever told her you can't do it. You with me, you can't do it. And so then and some other female told me the same thing. She said, yeah, I just heard somebody on YouTube say that shit. She said, y'all Leos, y'all try to control it. She said, y'all bossy. She said, ain't no man gonna tell me what I can't do. That shit was funny. So what you got is that Saturn retrograde. Now 28, it's funny because 28 is a number that means extremities. Like it's off balance, it's extreme. But it's also in business. It's also in business where the relationship has gone, too far. You got that in your seventh house, which is Libra energy, and you already saw, and that's gonna go over to your house. See, when you see that number 24, that's the return, and see you got 15 again, which is Capricorn. So that's why I'm telling you, you have some type of Mars. You have some type of Capricorn, Virgo stuff going on. And you see yours is 28 degrees, 21 minutes, but that 21 is the world card or Saturn energy. So it's karmic. So this is definitely a karmic relationship. But what happens when you see Saturn retrograde, it's implying it could be an abusive situation. So whether it's you abusing somebody or somebody that abused you or tried to control you, but that's what's going on in that 7th house. And believe it or not, it could even be the authorities, because that 7th house could be legal. It could be the authorities telling you what you, because once you go into the courts, that's what's going to happen. You have the authority telling you what you're going to do and what you won't do to a certain degree, and when you will do it and all that other stuff. So let's just read about Saturn retrograde. Both Saturn and Pluto are social planets. So this is the tough taskmaster. Now that's a terrible place to have, and that's the 7th house. It's supposed to be about relationships, but this is what's wrong with your 7th house. Aquarius will be in a relationship as long as you don't try to tell me what to do. But unfortunately, relationships, you are going to be expecting a person to be there for you and all that. So you really, like, when you want to call and talk to your honey, you don't want somebody acting like you're bothering them. But that's how Aquarius is. Like, I want my freedom. I want my space. I don't necessarily need you to call my phone and all that. Then I say we're going to see each other on Friday. So we're going to see each other on Friday. Why you calling me on Tuesday? I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to do what they want to do. Now, so to have a tough taskmaster like Saturn retrograde in the 7th house, it's not going to work for no relationship. And plus, you got Aquarius too, because Aquarius don't really want to be really that committed. So if you have Saturn retrograde, it's issues with authorities. If you're working on legal matters or contracts, it might be delayed. Deadlines might be extended. And the funny thing is this, and remember, this is also your legal house as well. But paperwork you thought you got done, for some strange reason with Saturn retrograde, you're going to have to do it again. Paperwork you thought was complete are not going to be complete with Saturn retrograde. So, if Saturn is retrograde in your chart, you may always be in conflict with authority. You may feel persecuted by your boss or upper management. You may abuse your own authority or position. You also may have difficulty in setting limitations or even determining the limits of others around you. You may have problems with voicing your opinion to those in authority, and because you don't, you'll continue to be victimized. You may also have a problem with patience. From a past life experience, you may have had a lifetime in an abusive situation, either as the abuser or as the victim. You may have been a prisoner, enslaved, or you may have been an abusive ruler. You may have been immensely impatient, looking for an easy way out. So I tell everybody that, because a lot of parents, I know I had parents, not both of my parents, but one of my parents was like that. They really thought that that's what children was for. But children are not to be born to be your slaves. You know, you should clean your own stuff. Like, everybody should be cleaning, but everybody should be cleaning. And it shouldn't just be the kids. Let the kids get it. Let the kids get it. Let the kids get it. Because that's not cool either. And what parents got to realize is what you're building is that's what that person's going to be throughout their life. So if you're stressing them out or putting them in a psychically unstable situation, that's how they're going to be the whole life, and they're going to do the same thing to their kids. Like that's one of my sister contacted me out of the blue today. For some reason, she's listening to the channel and she's trying to comment on something I was saying, and I just thought that was kind of like how dare you? Like, you of all people contact me. So, it's a crazy thing going on right now with the astrology. Like I said, as above, so below. So right now, a lot of people are being purged. But what happens is you have people that, when they get purged, instead of them being mature enough to say, how does this apply to me? They start looking at other people. So I have no respect for people like that. And like, you have to understand, I don't know what be going through people's minds, but I'm a grown ass man, and I don't need somebody, who's highly responsible for me being physically abused. I don't need that person contacting me talking, worry about your family. Don't contact me. Not on stuff like that. So as long as you're on this planet, like I said, you have to deal with these sad things, I call it. But unfortunately, sometimes you got to get stronger and realize, this is why Joseph got taken away from his brothers, because they were dysfunctional. They weren't spiritual. Joseph had a mission. He was called by God, and God had to take Joseph away from his own family because his own family would have killed him. His brothers, anyway. So now the lessons you have in that seventh house, got to learn the lessons of patience, also accountability. You got to hold yourself accountable, but you also have to hold other people accountable. And they say you have to learn how to constructively voice your concerns and opinions, because the reward will be great. Because either you may not have voiced these concerns, which means the situation can't get resolved and it might get worse, or as we learned earlier in your chart, you may voice it, but it's too extreme. So you have to learn how to voice it constructively. And it says don't abuse your authority either. Like I said, really people should see home as a place of peace, and whatever situation is there, you learn how to work it out and move on. But home shouldn't be a war zone and dysfunctional. And again, nothing's wrong with children being creative, and you always have to wonder if anybody's trying to stymie that. Why are they trying to stymie it? What's the real reason why they don't want your child talking about teleporting or anything else? What's the real reason? All right, now the situation? We're getting ready to go into 2 hours 46 minutes, and I don't like to go too much past 3 hours because it's harder to turn these into videos. So I'm gonna make this part 1, and then I'll be back with a part 2. It'll all sound like one thing to you though, but to me it's a different part. All right, we continue. Eighth house. Now we already read everything that's in the eighth house, and now you got Pisces in the eighth house. So again, it's a very psychic person, very intuitive person. But now you had the two main houses on your natal chart is the eighth house and the 12th house, because it's all about the subconscious mind. So Pisces and Neptune basically rule the 12th house. Okay, title of this is give me 1 minute. I'm just looking for one that has a better explanation on the 12th house. Give me a moment. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to find one that gives a good explanation. I was trying to use other files, but I'm going to my file now because I can't find anything that. The 12th house in astrology is ruled by Pisces. Pisces is in your 8th house. So you have an 8th house, 12th house situation. So the 12th house concerns imprisonment, psychological issues, counseling, institutions, prisons, arrest, enemies, hidden agendas, secrets, difficulties, anything in the subconscious mind, solitude, ordeals, darkness, animals, self-indulgence, possible substance or drug abuse, counseling, counselors, personality change, deliverance after a period of suffering, redemption, healing, recovery, mysticism, mysteries, seclusion, expense, privacy, sexual pleasures, prostitution, sleep, dreams, incarceration, foreign residency, travel, pilgrimage, self-conscious mind, the feet. Dysfunctions and confinement. So this is all going on, and it's your house of karma as well. Karma, endings, reckonings. So this is all going on in your 8th house. Now, the biggest difference between the 8th house and the 12th house is the 8th house is pretty much going to stay hidden. Whereas the 12th house, the idea of the 12th house is to bring it out so that you can reckon with it, deal with it, get healing. So you have Vesta. Vesta, that wavy asteroid at 3 degrees. 3 degrees is again Gemini energy, but it can also be the Empress, which is Venus energy. Now Vesta, wherever you see Vesta, that's where you have a lot of your energy is there, but you have to be careful because you can burn yourself out. But see, Vesta can also mean solitary confinement, lockup or prison. Vesta can also mean highly sexual, depending on what house she's in. If she's in the 8th house, it could be highly sexual. But it could also, like, this is a person who sex will become spiritual. Because you got Pisces in the 8th house. sex can become spiritual, especially with Vesta. Chiron means that in this house you're not getting the healing you need. But again, it's at 14 degrees, and again, that's that Temperance card or that Sagittarius energy. Just give me a moment. I'm looking things over. So having that Pisces in the 8th house is still going to affect your dreams, and it's going to be extremely watery as well, because both Scorpio and Pisces are water signs. And a lot of these serial killers and stuff, they have psychic abilities. So what you're doing, you're also seeing that on the chart as the why. And like I said, Vesta can also mean incarceration. Like if you see Vesta in the 12th house, it may mean some type of confinement or arrest. But you still see Vesta because you see it in Pisces. But Pisces represents the 12th house. So this is endings and things like that. The only danger could be that because Pisces is in the 8th house, it may imply that a lot of stuff that should have been reckoned with or brought out in the 12th house won't be. Because Pisces is in the 8th house, and that's the 8th house of secrets. And all this stuff is dealing with the subconscious mind and things that are hidden under the rug and things of that nature. But ironically, in your 12th house, you have Cancer. This is the family. This is really your 4th house. So all that stuff going on in your 4th house, again, it should be getting reckoned in the 12th house. But your Pisces is in the 8th house. So the stuff may not get reckoned. It may stay hidden. And I guess it really that depends on each person or whatever. But that stuff should be addressed and dealt with. Your 9th house, again, another fire sign with another fire sign. Sagittarius rules the 9th house. And again, this is all higher courts, higher laws, in-laws, foreign travel, foreign lands, culture, class, religion, philosophy. But Aries means, somewhat aggression. Because whatever you got going on in your 1st house, because of Aries, it's also going to be going on in your 9th house. And this is also the house of your higher self as well. Now, your 10th house is your career and reputation. Your medium coeli, which is also part of your true north node, your purpose, is at 18 degrees, and that's that moon. That's the moon card. Now, whenever you see Jupiter retrograde causes people to question their belief systems. Also, what they wouldn't accept before, they may be more inclined to accept it now. But it's still at 23 degrees. And for the most part, 23 degrees can be chaotic. So you have a lot of Sagittarian on your chart, because the Temperance card is number 14. That's Sagittarius. So you have a lot of Sagittarian on your chart as well. Taurus in the 10th house, basically, it could connect back to your second house, because Taurus rules your second house. But basically, Taurus in the second house is anything that would bring revenue, because that Taurus rules the second house of possessions, finances, and your value systems. So when you see Taurus, you're definitely dealing with that second house. And I'm just looking at the chart. So again, whatever we said in your second house, it's going to be in your 10th house as well, because of the Taurus energy. And again, it's some type of home situation. Whatever I said about that Virgo energy. And your medium coeli is going to work with your true north node. Your true north node is your life purpose, but it's you working with friends, association, and groups. But it's going to be some type of communication, publishing capacity, and anything is teaching. If you just given anything is teaching. Doesn't have to be official teacher, but you're still, if you're standing up in front of people online and whatever, that's still teaching. Now that's this life, true north node in Gemini. But if you go straight across, that was your past life. And so your past life is, you see that Sagittarius energy. All right, so like I said, once you get to your 12th house, as you see, it's nothing there. But that's because Pisces rules the 12th house, and so does Neptune. And you can already see that this is a family situation for the most part. But you're dealing with Scorpio in the 4th house, which is going to be a big power struggle, highly emotional, and everything we already talked about, that Scorpio energy. But you also see it in your 8th house. So your spirituality will always be connected with some type of really 8th house drama or Scorpio drama. And again, the advisory would be to try to find your way to whatever you want to. What I'm saying, you want to get away from the drama, but a lot of people can't do it. It's not easy, but it's just like staying in all emotional or staying all drama. Then that's when you're gonna have like other problems. You're gonna maybe have legal problems and stuff like that as well. So again, this does conclude this analysis of this birth natal chart. Keep in mind, you can always check out the channel for any offerings we have. I know we had some sales recently. You can always contact for the most recent services offered and price lists. And some people just want to get started. So just to get started, if it's for your natal chart, just your birth date, write it out. Don't abbreviate it. Don't do any of that, because that's how mistakes occur. Because the way we write it out in America is totally different in Britain. So if you just wrote it out, we would know for sure it's July 11th, 1974. Otherwise, your 7/11/74 is their November 7th, 74. So just to avoid any situation like that, just write it out. Your birth time, make sure you say AM or PM. And if you don't have it, the archangels can have it. City, state, and USA. If not in the USA, then write what country it was. If it's in the USA, then just city and state. And that's what they need for your birth natal chart. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else. So, like I said, ideally, when you have your natal chart, when you're taking notes and things, that shows you where to look, what to work on, and things like that. I think some people, like I said, if you, it's like anything else. Like when you go to school, like that female that sent me that email saying she passed the bar. Yep, but she passed the bar. Now y'all gotta be honest, she's taken it like 2 times. It's kind of funny how after association with me, now this time she passed it. It's just kind of funny. But that's because I kept saying, you gotta take notes, you gotta learn how to think. You can't just feel, because you'll never get it. You have to balance out the feelings and the thinking. And that's how you understand your natal chart. This is Gak. God bless.